Hi, my name is Bob Taylor, and I'm your host for this segment of Our Ventura TV. I'm here today with my guest, Ginny Connell, from, where are you? PDAP.
Yes.
Jenny, explain PDAP to me.
Well, the letters stand for Palmer Drug Abuse Program, and it's an outpatient program for teenagers with drug and alcohol issues. And we've been working with that population throughout Ventura County since 1989. We have wonderful certified addiction treatment counselors that are really good with troubled kids and trying to figure out ways to get them to look at alternatives to what they've been doing with using drugs and alcohol.
Okay, a couple questions. Palmer drug abuse, I mean, where'd the Palmer come from? Is it somebody that started it way back when?
Way back when, it was started at a church on Palmer Avenue in I think, Houston, Texas, and came to Los Angeles, and we started out as a little satellite of PDAP of Los Angeles.
PDAP, I like that.
Yeah, and so it became PDAP
Okay.
instead of Palmer.
So there's bunch of you guys, a bunch of your nonprofit, is it worldwide or just California?
It started in Texas. There are some separate, they're all separate, but based on the same belief about working with adolescents and them not being the same as working with adults. Now we are, like many of the others, incorporated just for Ventura County and totally on our own. We're not, not linked up.
Right.
And so we work within the structure of what the state of California expects in terms of being a certified outpatient program and providing treatment, working closely with schools and other nonprofits to help kids that need help.
Okay, so you don't do any like just troubled children, only if it's drugs or alcohol involved?
Well, most of our population are really high-risk kids with all kinds of issues.
Okay.
So we're looking particularly at that behavior, but you can't treat that separately. It's part of what's going on with them and what traumas they've been through and
why they're doing that.
Why drugs become important to them.
Right. Okay, so where do you get your clients? I can't imagine a 13-year-old or 14-year-old coming in saying, I need help.
Not usually, no. That would be extremely rare. So yes, certainly parents, if they can even have that much authority over that kind of a troubled child, will want them to come. But that's very hard for parents to enforce.
Right.
So most of them come as a result of getting in trouble in school, being cited for drug problems, and then being sent by the court that deals with those students, or probation, or even churches and other nonprofits that link up with these kids for one reason or another.
Okay, now there are a number of nonprofits that work with troubled youth of one kind or another.
Right.
But you're the only one I know that specializes in alcohol and drugs.
Right.
Are you the main one in Ventura County? Like if the cops have a problem or the police have a problem, it's you they call, or are there other ones that?
Well, I guess you could say the main one is the county's alcohol and drug program under Ventura County Behavioral Health.
But that's a lockup though, isn't it? Or is it not? Okay.
No. That's all outpatient.
Okay.
And so we've, over the years, always worked closely and been kind of a partner agency, but we're the private nonprofit and they're the public government sponsor.
And they encompass so much more than just drugs and alcohol.
And so much more than just adolescents, whereas teenagers and preteens are the only age group that we work with.
And so if you found somebody else that couldn't quite fit in your program, you would call them and put them into them?
We might, yes, depending on what the situation is. I mean, and we also work with other agencies like all of the Boys and Girls Club, and City Impact over in Oxnard, and Interface Children Family Services, and because We don't have therapists on staff. My background is as a marriage and family therapist, but our staff are certified addiction treatment counselors.
Which is totally different than some other things in behavioral health.
Right. So if they need mental health treatment, then we need to refer them, whether it's to the county or to another agency that provides that.
So they could be seeing more than one agency at a time, possibly.
They could, sure.
Okay, now I've got a question you have to think about, and if you don't know the answer, it's still fine.
It's okay.
Just because of the way the kids get there, that we talked about it, what percentage of kids that come in don't want to be there when they start, and what percentage of kids that leave are glad they were there once they're gone?
Well, I think a high percentage are glad they're there once they're gone. I mean, our counselors work very hard to create a relationship where they feel safe and they gradually relax a little bit and know that they can talk about anything.
So most of your people that go through the program are semi-success stories?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, good.
If we can keep them long enough,
right.
Like the judges that do the court program for students, usually require them to come for a 12-week period weekly before they are due to go back to court and show the judge.
Is that long enough, do you believe?
It's a minimum.
Okay, so you believe that, you don't believe the court should change, but you believe maybe they should send them back to you or something?
Well, and if they haven't really had enough, I mean, depending on what other supports those particular kids have.
Very true. If they have support at home and have support at the workplace and that kind of thing.
And if they're involved in a Boys and Girls Club or something like that,
right.
Or a church program or something where there are other things to keep them going on a healthier lifestyle path, yes, then they might not be back. But if they need more support, if they are kids that have been through a lot of trauma and difficult situations, then they're likely to be back eventually for even sometimes more serious drug use.
Right. Okay. Now, a big concern about trauma kids or kids that do that kind of thing is the parents and siblings. What do you suggest for them? I mean, do you have a place you can send them or someplace they can talk to somebody? Or how do you handle that? Because that's got to be tough for parents.
It is tough for parents. We are really glad when we have an opportunity to have relationships with the parents. We don't have a programs per se for parents, so we recommend, depending on what issues are going on in the family, we would recommend family counseling of some sort, and there are other agencies and private therapists that will provide that. It may just be a 12-step program like
Al-Anon.
Al-Anon, yes.
Which is a really great program.
Which really gives a lot of support for anyone dealing with someone in their family who has addiction issues,
right.
or with teenagers. It might not be addiction, but it would be heavy use and regular use.
Right. Okay, so what percentage, we didn't get to what percentage do you think are there because they have to be and they don't want to be?
Oh, close to 100%.
So none of them really start out wanting to be there.
Usually do not believe they have a problem. This is a good thing that they've discovered that they like, at least in the initial stages.
Because of their peers and everybody else that they're hanging around with.
Yes, and the good feelings that they get when they first get high, and how it takes their mind off things that are bothering them. There are all those things that they believe strongly in, and I don't have a problem. It's all these adults in my life that don't like the way it's going.
They're bothering me. All right, so you said you had some therapists, 4 therapists? You had
4 counselors.
4 counselors,
yes.
Part-time counselors, and yourself.
Yes.
How many, counting parents, because you got to work with parents for helping the kids, and how many volunteers do you think you go through, or how many do you use? How many volunteers does it take to help run your organization? And some come and go, I understand that. So
it takes many, not just the board and not just the interns that come in from the Oxnard College Drug and Alcohol Studies program.
Oh, so you have interns, which is really, okay, that's cool.
But, students from Cal State University, Channel Islands that we are learning to create partnerships with in terms of whatever it is that they're learning that might connect with us. People that just want to help, and especially donors, because that's very important. As you said, right now we have 4 part-time counselors. Well, we really need them all to be full-time, and we could use a few more because we are limited in how many kids we can handle.
Okay, that's my next question. How many can you handle with what you have to work with?
With what we have to work with, we can handle 100 or more a month, especially since we work directly with some of the middle schools and one high school. So we see kids regularly there, probably 7 or 8 in each school. It's probably around 100 a month in one way or another at this point.
And so you really can't expand even if you wanted to?
Not unless we raise enough money to be able to expand our budget.
And most of your money comes from just volunteers or donors, just like average Joe on the street?
We have no set fees. We don't turn any kids away if their family can't afford it or they're there on their own, because sometimes that could happen. But we ask parents to pay a small fee, whatever they can afford.
Right.
But that certainly doesn't cover all our expenses.
No, it certainly doesn't. It can't even begin to.
Right. So fundraising is a big part of what I do and what I depend on volunteers to help me do. And, even learning to effectively use the online kind of fundraising resources is a whole new world for me.
So you write grants and do all of those things?
Yes.
And I'm sure the grants are few and far between when you're trying to pick out high schoolers.
Yes, and when there are so many nonprofits.
Over 4,000 in Ventura County.
Yes, it used to be that there were 1,500 or 2,000. Now there's so many more.
Right.
So it's not easy to have the grant support, but we do have some.
Okay, now if people want to get a hold of you to volunteer or donate, how do they find you?
Well, we have a website, PDAP OurVentura.com. It should be .org, but it's not because
They're all mixed up nowadays.
I didn't renew my domain quickly enough and lost the .org. But anyway, PDAP of Ventura is the website, and just the 805-482-1265 is the line that I respond to as frequently as possible, Monday through Friday.
All right, we have about 1 minute left.
Okay.
What haven't we talked about, or what haven't we mentioned that you'd like the audience to know?
The most important thing is that these are not bad kids. These are kids that need to be saved from whatever it is that led them into this behavior, whether it's something they grew up with or whether it's something that they learned from peers as a way of coping. They need help, and that's what we're here for. And so it's important for people not to think of them as lost or bad or not worth helping. They are very worth helping.
Now, would you rather people called you direct, or would you rather they go through the police or something like that?
If they know a kid that needs our services, they certainly are welcome to call me direct. They do not have to go through anyone else.
Okay, so can somebody call you and say, geez, my neighbor kid's getting drunk every day? How would you handle that? Because you're talking about a neighbor, somebody else talking about him. That'd be a really tough situation.
That would be, yes. I would have to encourage them to talk to the teenager and look for ways to encourage them just to try coming to our group once.
Thank you, Jenny. We're all out of time.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
Well, my name is Bob Taylor. I've been here today with my guest, Ginny Connell from PDAP. Until next time, thank you very much.